Let me tell you something real today, something a lot of people do not want to hear. You think just because he is quiet, just because you two are not talking, that he is not thinking about you? No, you are still on his mind, whether he texts, whether he calls, or whether he ever breathes near you again. That is the truth. Men do not always act on their thoughts. Sometimes they just sit there stewing, replaying moments, wondering why things happened the way they did, and yeah, thinking about you. Too many women believe that if a man is not talking, texting, or reaching out, he has forgotten. Absence does not equal forgetting, you hear me? Just because he is not in your face every day, just because the phone stays quiet, that does not mean your name is not running through his mind every single day. You take up more space in his head than he will ever admit. Stay with me here because this next part matters more than you realize. Men do not always operate the way women do. Women, we talk, we share, we express. We want the communication, the proof, the contact. Men think differently. They process things differently. And a man thinking about you does not always turn into him picking up the phone or sending a message. Sometimes thinking is all he needs. Here is the thing about men. They are very visual, very emotional, and very thoughtful, whether they show it or not. When a man spends time with a woman, when he connects, when he feels something, it creates a mark in his mind. That mark does not disappear when distance comes between you. No, it stays. Have you ever noticed how some men will suddenly remember a moment you shared together out of nowhere? That is not a coincidence. That is his mind replaying the moment you had together. And sometimes he does it far more than you could ever imagine. Women think that because he is not called, he does not care. Wrong. He is caring in his own way. Sometimes he is caring in silence, in thought, in reflection. He is carrying that memory of you in his mind, letting it grow, letting it settle. And when the timing is right, he will act. Men also underestimate the power of absence. They think if you are not around, you are out of sight, out of mind. But that is rarely the truth. He may go about his day, his work, his responsibilities, but a part of him is always thinking about you. That part is replaying the conversation, replaying the laughter, replaying the moments that made him feel alive. The way you looked at him, the way you carried yourself, even the little quirks you never noticed about yourself, he noticed. They start to take up more room because absence gives them space to grow. You have heard the saying, you do not know what you have until it is gone. When a woman steps back, when she gives space, that absence triggers something in a man's mind. It forces him to reflect on what he values, what he is missing, and what he does not want to lose. Giving space is not pushing him away. It is letting him recognize your value. It is letting him sit with his thoughts about you and understand just how much you mean to him. Men need time like that. They need room to think, room to feel, room to process. That is why absence does not mean forgetting. It means the opposite. It means your presence is sinking deeper, even if he is not reaching out. When you are not in constant contact, the moments you did share start to feel more important in his mind. The way you laughed, the way you spoke, the little things he might have taken for granted before, those things get bigger. That smile of yours, it is on repeat in his head. That look in your eye when you were passionate about something, it is there too. The way you made him feel when he was down, when life was hard, that sticks, and it sticks hard, and none of that goes away just because you are not talking. Your absence becomes a reminder of your presence. Your silence becomes louder than words ever could. Men are stubborn creatures. They do not always admit what they feel, but that does not mean your absence makes him forget you. On the contrary, it gives him the space to realize that you are not just anybody. You are not a fleeting thought. You are not someone he can just shake off. You are someone who made an impression, someone who mattered, someone who continues to matter, and as the days go by, even if he does not show it, he is thinking. He is replaying, he is processing. Ladies, remember this. Do not confuse silence with disinterest. Do not confuse absence with forgetting. Men think differently than women, and they remember differently. What sticks in a man's mind is often the feeling, the connection, the way you made him feel about himself and about life. Those things do not fade because the phone is quiet. Those things do not vanish because of distance. So the next time you find yourself worried because he has not called, the next time you question whether he is thinking about you, let me tell you something real. He is. He may not text, post, or show it on social media. None of that matters. Your impact, your presence, your memory is alive in his mind, growing stronger even when you are not there. Do not doubt it. Do not stress over it. Sit back, be yourself, and know that even in silence, even in distance, you are still there, loud and clear in his mind. Now let me break this down, because this is where most people get it twisted. You think a man forgets you just because you are not in front of him every day? No. What really sticks with a man is the emotional mark you leave. That is right, emotional mark. Men are wired to remember feelings, moments, and experiences more than they remember words. That energy, that vibe, that way you made him feel, it is like a tattoo on his mind. And once it is there, it does not just fade away, it stays, it lingers. And listen, an emotional mark is not about big gestures. It is not about expensive dinners or flashy gifts. No, it is the little things. The way you laughed at his dumb jokes even when they were not funny. The way you looked at him like he was the only man in the room. The way you listened when he had nothing to say but needed someone to be there. That is what gets lodged in a man's memory. That is what makes him think of you when you are not even around. And the crazy thing is, he might not even realize it until one day, out of nowhere, it hits him. He is driving, walking, sitting on the couch, and suddenly he remembers that one night you talked about nothing, but it meant everything. That is your emotional mark at work. Women underestimate the power of their own presence. They think they have to keep talking, keep texting, keep chasing to stay in a man's mind. But the truth is, it is not the words or the constant attention that makes a man remember. It is the way you made him feel when you were there. It is the joy, the excitement, the comfort, the warmth, the spark. That is the stuff that sticks. Let us get real here. Men may not express themselves the way we want them to. They might not write a poem, send a sweet text, or tell you every day how much you mean to them. But that does not mean your impact is not real. That emotional mark is working behind the scenes. It is in his thoughts when he wakes up. It is in his dreams when he sleeps. It is there in the moments he thinks he is alone, reflecting, processing, trying to make sense of why he feels this pull towards you. That is the power of an emotional mark. It is subtle, but it is strong, and it lingers long after you have gone. A man can go weeks, months, even years without contact, but that emotional mark does not disappear. It's like planting a seed. You may not water it every day, you may not talk about it, but that seed grows in his mind. It grows stronger every time he remembers the little details, how you made him laugh, how you challenged him, how you inspired him, how you made him feel like he mattered. And the longer he sits with that memory, the more it becomes a part of who he is. He starts to compare every woman he meets to that mark, to you. No matter what he does or who he meets, that memory, that energy, that presence of yours stays. It is with him, even if you do not know it. And here is something about timing. An emotional mark works best when you give it space. I do not mean ignoring, and I do not mean playing games. I mean letting a man process, letting him reflect, letting that seed grow in his mind. Because when he is forced to face the fact that he cannot have that energy, that presence, that connection anymore, it hits him harder than anything else ever could. He starts to realize just how much of an impact you had, just how much you meant, just how much he misses you, even without saying it out loud. That is why a man can think about you for days without contacting you. Hear this clearly. You do not need to chase. You do not need to beg. You do not need to constantly remind him of your worth. Your presence, your energy, your emotional mark does the work for you. You have already made your mark, and it is staying there, whether he admits it or not. When he eventually comes to terms with it, when he finally realizes the power of what he had, that is when the magic happens. That is when he cannot stop thinking about you. That is when he understands the value of what you brought to his life. Your emotional mark is your secret weapon. It works quietly, silently, but with incredible force. Even in your absence, it is there. Even when you think he has moved on, it is there. Even when he does not show it, it is there. Let me tell you something that a lot of people do not understand. You think because a man is not texting, calling, sliding into your DMs, or hitting you up on social media, that he is not thinking about you? Oh no. That is where most women get it twisted. Men do not always communicate the way we do. They do not always put their feelings into words. And sometimes their thoughts about you show up in ways you might not even notice. Those are behavioral signals. Those little signs, little habits, little actions that tell you loud and clear that he is thinking of you, even if he is not reaching out directly. Men are creatures of habit. And even when you think he has moved on or gone quiet, his habits can reveal his mind. Maybe he is suddenly active in places he was not before, checking up on your social media, liking your posts, remembering things you said weeks ago. That is not coincidence. That is his mind circling back to you, replaying the moments you shared, making sure he does not forget the impact you had. You just have to know what to look for, and it is not always about technology. Sometimes those little signs are even quieter. Maybe he starts mentioning things he knows you care about when you are around other people. Maybe he drops your favorite topics into conversation without realizing it. Maybe he talks about things that remind him of you. Those little things, that is his mind working overtime. He may not call, he may not text, but he is thinking, reflecting, and holding on. He is keeping you alive in his thoughts without ever saying a word. Another sign is the way men act around mutual friends or in shared spaces. Have you ever noticed how he lights up when your name comes up? Or how he suddenly remembers that joke you made months ago? That is not random. That is a mental snapshot, a flashback, an emotional signal telling you that you are still very much present in his mind. Men show it in their behaviors, in the little details, in the way they carry themselves around memories of you. That is a behavioral signal and one of the most honest signs, because he does it without even knowing. Let us talk about timing. Men will often think about you at specific moments when they are alone, when they hear a song, see a place, or smell something familiar. Even without a call or text, those triggers show your presence lingers in his mind. That is proof that silence does not mean forgetting. Understand this. Behavioral signals are not always direct or obvious. That is why so many women miss them. He might not say, "I am thinking about you every day." He might not send a love letter or a text that says, "You are on my mind." But you will notice patterns. You will notice when he suddenly does things he did not used to do. You will notice when he is more aware of your presence in mutual settings. You will notice when his energy shifts, when his moods change, or when he seems distracted in ways you do not understand. That is him thinking about you even if he is not telling you. Behavioral signals can be subtle, but they are steady. Look for the little things. Pay attention to his actions over time. See if a pattern shows he is still invested, still engaged, still thinking of you. Maybe it is a mutual friend asking about you. Maybe it's a random text he sends just to say something small. These are all behavioral signs that even in silence he is mentally with you. They work in your favor if you recognize them. You stop doubting yourself, you stop overthinking, you stop feeling like you have to chase or beg for attention. His behaviors are already giving you the proof you need. He may not say it with words, but he is saying it with actions, patterns, and subtle signs. That is how you know a man's mind is on you, even when he is not reaching out. And when you understand this, it puts you in a position of power. You are no longer waiting for validation, no longer anxious about silence, no longer doubting your worth. You see the proof, and you know that your presence in his mind is alive and strong. Behavioral signals do not lie. They show you where his thoughts are. Even when words fail, they reveal the moments, the memories, and the connections he is holding on to. They show you that even in absence, even in silence, you are still there, still significant, still unforgettable. This is where most people get it all wrong. They think if they give a man space, if they step back, if they stop texting, calling, or trying to get his attention, he is going to forget them. But I am here to tell you that is the farthest thing from the truth. Timing and patience are everything when it comes to men and the way they think about you. Giving him space does not push him away. It draws him closer in ways you cannot even imagine. It lets him sit with his thoughts, process what you mean to him, and realize the value you bring without you spelling it out every single day. Men do not always express their feelings the way we want them to. They do not always tell us they miss us or that they cannot stop thinking about us. But that does not mean they do not feel it. In fact, the opposite is often true. When you give a man space, when you allow him to breathe, to reflect, to sit with his own thoughts, it triggers something in him. He starts to remember the little things about you, the way you laugh, the way you listen, the way your presence fills a room and makes him feel alive. And those memories grow stronger because absence has a way of growing what he already felt, even what he did not fully recognize. Timing is just as important as patience. A man needs the right timing to process his feelings. When you are constantly in contact, constantly available, he might take it for granted without even realizing it. But when you step back, when you allow him to experience life without your constant presence, it forces him to face what he values, what he misses, and what he cannot replace. Timing and patience go hand in hand. They give him the mental and emotional space to process, to feel, and to recognize the depth of his connection with you. Patience is powerful. It shows strength. It shows confidence. When a woman is patient, when she does not chase or beg or plead for attention, it sends a message louder than words ever could. It says, I know my worth. I know my value, and I am not going to compromise that just to get validation from you. That kind of patience is magnetic. Men are drawn to it, even if they do not admit it out loud. It is the kind of energy that makes a man think about you more, wonder about you, and eventually realize that you are someone he cannot live without. Patience is not passive, it is strategic, and it works in your favor every single time. Sometimes a man does not realize what he is missing until it is not right in front of him, and that is where timing comes in. When you step back and allow him the space to miss you, he starts to see things more clearly. He starts to understand the little ways you made his life better, the ways your presence added value to his world. Absence sharpens the mind and opens the heart. It forces him to focus on what matters, to reflect on his feelings, and to recognize that he is thinking about you more than he ever thought he would. Patience is not about waiting forever. It is about giving him the time and space to come to his own conclusions, to process his own feelings, and to understand what you mean to him. Women often make the mistake of thinking that if they step back, they will lose him. But the truth is, stepping back allows him to grow his thoughts, deepen his feelings, and realize his own desire to have you in his life. Timing and patience give him the chance to chase, to reflect, and to value you in a way that constant attention never could. When a man has room to think, to remember, to feel, he builds a deeper connection that is not based on convenience or habit. It is built on truth, on absence, on the quiet power of a woman who knew her worth and simply let him feel what losing her meant. And when that connection lands, it lands for good. Stay with me on that, because that right there is where everything changes.